Hey crafty friends, Einat Kessler here with Saturday Extravaganza. Thank you very much for joining me. And today I'm creating altar boxes. I have here a few boxes. They're mainly cardboard boxes. And we're going to give them a really cool steampunk look. So let's get started. I have some old book paper, old book pages, and I'm going to cover the boxes with it. I'm going to use gel medium and a brush, and basically I'm going to cover I'm going to start with the lid and cover it with the paper. And what's good about the old book pages is, since they're very old, they're also very thin, and they actually work like tissue paper, so it's very easy to wrap them around the cover and around all the corners and everything. So as you can see, the piece is larger than the lid, and I'm gonna cut it later, trim all the excess. And you can also, of course, use Mod Podge. I wouldn't recommend using just a regular white glue because that will make your paper curl, and you don't want that. So either Mod Podge or some kind of gel medium is great. So once I have all my sides covered, including the corners, as you can see, I'm folding the paper over the corner. I can let that dry. Just gonna cut the excess first. Just gonna cut it around and let that dry. We're gonna cover the inside as well. Just make sure, check that everything closes properly and that no piece of paper is not glued right or something. And we don't need to cover the bottom of the box. For the sides, just again, I'm using pieces of old book pages, and I'm just covering them on the sides just like so, and slightly on the bottom, just so I'll have a nice fold and I wouldn't need to cut it, because fold looks better. I didn't want to fold it over the edges on the lid because that would interfere with closing the box, but once we're talking about the bottom part, that doesn't really matter. So just fold it over the edge and you'll get a nice edge. Looks more professional this way. So I've speeded things up a little bit for you because it is a little bit time consuming to cover all the boxes. So I'm just going to continue covering all the boxes, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm finishing with the little matchbox. I'm just gonna let it dry. And let's go back to our first box. I'm using Distress Stain, which is basically liquid ink in a dauber form. And I'm using Vintage Photo, and I'm just going over all the corners and edges, sort of inking, distressing the edges like we would do on a art journal page or a scrapbook page. And also this gives the edges a very nice and uniform professional look, especially if the cuts of the edges of the paper are not exactly straight, or you can see some of the box original color which we want to cover. So, and it gives it that vintage steampunk look that we're going for. So in this box we covered the lid. We couldn't cover I didn't cover the sides. We could have, but I just want to add the brown color of the Distress Stain. So I'm just adding some gel medium to make sure everything is glued properly, because sometimes after you trim the excess you discover that some of the paper is not properly glued. So now I can cut the excess from the large matchbox, and these matchboxes will be really cool because it's like they have drawers in them, right? Because of the inner part of the box is pulled out. It's like an already made drawer, especially for you. So this is the large one and this is the small one. Just cutting everything, making it ready to go in with the Distress Stain. Just a little bit on the bottom to make sure everything sticks properly. Okay, so now we can go ahead with our Distress Stain and go over the edges. Now I need to cover that purple color that I have, and the ink doesn't go there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a brush, put a little Distress Stain on my crafting mat, on my non-stick sheet, which I need to get a new one because this one I've ruined it with a knife. You see all the cuts are there. So I'm using the brush to spread the ink around on all the sides, as well as the little edges there. This way I'm covering all the purple. You can of course use just brown paint if you want, acrylic paint if you don't have Distress Stain. I'm using it like a paint, although it's an ink, but it's a form of paint. So, and I'm just covering all the purple I can see and going over all the edges, the corners, giving it a nice finish. Looks very nice this way, don't you think? Much better than the purple. Now for the large matchbox, again all the edges and all the corners. We're going to do the same with the little matchbox. So it's a very fast way to just ink all the edges. Now I want to start covering the insides of the boxes, and for the large matchbox I'm just gonna add some color, because once I will open it I don't want the white to show. So I'm just coloring it with the same Distress Stain, so it'll be nice and brown, steampunk brown. And I'm adding the same old book pages to the inside of the box. I'm not bothering with the sides, just don't have the patience for it, but if you want you can go all the way and cut the small pieces and do the sides as well. I'm just doing the bottom. That's enough for me. So for this little one we need a small piece, and I'm basically using the corners of the page. That gives me at least 1 or 2 straight sides that I don't need to measure. And then I'm layering the paper, so this way, see, corner is always 90 degrees, so it fits perfectly, and that gives me an easy, fast way to cover. It is a square after all. And the first box as well, this is the lid. Just gonna cover the inside as well. Again, I'm not bothering with the sides. Now basically everything is covered. We can close all the boxes, see that everything is okay, and we are going to stack them now, one on top of the other, creating sort of a chest. And it's going to be really cool because we are going to embellish it with all kinds of steampunk embellishments, metal and stuff like that. Before that, I want to create handles for the little drawers. So I've created a hole with my crocodile, and I'm using a screw with I forgot how you call that thing that closes the other side of the screw, that you turn and it locks whatever it is you're trying to lock. See, now it's very strong and I can pull the drawer. Everything is nice and strong. Also, of course, it has a steampunk look. I have another one here, so I'm pushing through the screw and closing it on the other side like so. So now the handles are ready. I can stack my boxes and create my chest. So use E6000. You already know that this is a really strong industrial glue. I like to use that for things like that and for metal embellishment. The tip is kind of wide, so sometimes you get a lot of glue, but still I found this to be the best glue for the heavy things, for the heavy lifting. So I'm just stacking the matchbox on the first box, the large one, and on top of that the purple box. And of course I'm stacking them not in a very straight way. I want them to turn in different directions, so that will be more interesting. See, now that it's dry, we can open the bottom. This is the second one, the third one, and the little tiny one on top. Isn't that cool? Look how great that looks. Okay, so now we can bring in all the embellishments and we can start embellishing. Basically what I want to do now is create sort of a wall on the back side of the little matchbox on top, because I'm going to remove the little drawer and I would still want to add some embellishments, but that would give me no support, because basically what is there is a hole that the little drawer goes into. So what I've created is just used a little piece of chipboard of cardstock and created a little wall by folding it and gluing it to the bottom, to the top side of the box, and to the back side of the little matchbox. And now I can glue things against it because I have a little wall there, see? So what I've added is a big rusted cogwheel and a little light bulb. And what I'm going to do is basically start adding steampunk metal embellishments, cogwheels, industrial type things, clock parts, things like that. This is a little vial that is filled with tiny bits of clock parts that nobody can glue anywhere else because they're so tiny, so I've just stuffed them all in the vial and now it looks really cool. And since I have different levels created by the different boxes that are arranged in different directions, I can tuck things in, I can glue things down on the sides and on the different levels that I have and around them, and that is really fun. So another clock face here, and it's a little bit difficult for you to see because the camera is on top. So when it's going to be ready and the glue will dry, I'll be able to show you how it looks from the sides, because that is much more impressive. So you already know how to create that steampunk look. You just keep on adding those metal embellishments, creating clusters, starting with the large pieces and then going in with smaller pieces, just using tiny bottle of gel medium to apply glue to the little small pieces there, because it's not very comfortable to work with the E6000 and they're small enough to be glued down with the gel medium. So you start with the large things and then you add smaller things in between until you get the cluster that you want and you have that look that you are happy with. And you just keep on adding them one next to the other, and on the sides as well, of course, and in the corners and in all those nooks and crannies. Now it's finished and I want to add some color. I'm going to spray this with a little bit of green, a little bit of teal, and a little bit of brown spray ink to give it that rusted, oxidized look that sometimes metal has. So basically I'm just spraying it all around and on the top. As you can see, it really colors the paper very well, and a little bit of the metal, which is fine. I just want to tint it. I just don't want it to be really very much colored. I'm just going over the light ball with a piece of paper. Want the glass to stay kind of clean. And then once that's clean, I can go ahead and dry it with my heat tool. And I'm going to do a few layers until I'm happy with the color. It's the end of the bottle, so it doesn't come out very nicely. It comes out in little drops instead of a spray, but that's okay. I can use my finger to spread it around on the box. So make sure everything is dry, and I want to add the final touch with some alcohol ink. Also, it has that teal color, this specific one, and I'm adding it especially on the metal for that, again, that oxidized look that you get sometimes. And this one is called, let me check, this one is Cloudy Blue. Just a little bit on the paper too, and just make sure everything is dry. And this is how it looks when it's finished. I love it. It turned out beautiful. Look at all the embellishments and the shine that these sprays have given the boxes, and all the embellishments peeking out from all the sides and the top. And this is how we open it. This is the bottom box, and this is our large matchbox that we can open as a drawer. And once everything is dry, nothing will fall. Just make sure not to glue anything on the folds of the box. And the little one, I love this project. It turned out great. Thank you very much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button, and I hope you liked it and were inspired, and I'll see you all next time.